Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Complete Sports Media's podcast. I'm your host, Darren Campbell, and joining me as usual on Monday is Jason Cameron. Hey, Jason, how's it going?
Good. It's good to have the day off. It's good to sleep in.
Yeah, happy Family Day. It's really great to have a 3-day weekend here. Valentines Day followed by Family Day. Really good for a lot of couples and a lot of people. Nice to, yeah, just get away from work for a few extra days. I've been taking a lot of Mondays off, and it really just, I think it makes a huge difference for my mental health. I just feel a lot better rolling into work on Tuesday instead of Monday.
Yeah, I would imagine so. I got this Monday off, so this is good. I appreciate this one, the one that I get, the one.
Yeah. I think, I think we work too much. In film, 60, 70 hours a week is too much. And for this production, I said, no, I really want to just do 4 days a week. And it's worked out well. The week before last, I did 5 days. And by the end of it, I was just exhausted, felt terrible. And it wasn't good. It wasn't good.
Yeah, no. It's a lot to ask for.
Yeah.
I realize this because I do it all the time. But yes, you can get pretty run down. And that's why usually after a production's done, you want some time off to yourself.
One of my favorite parts of the weekend this weekend was that I ran into you Friday at work. We just bumped into each other, amazingly enough, out and about working. And you said, why don't we get together and watch the UFC together on Saturday night? And we did that. And it was a really fun evening, really fun to be able to just go and watch the fights with you. It's been a while, and we had a blast. It was a lot of fun.
It was a ton of fun, man. It was just great to have you beside me as we're looking at the fights and watching the fights together. Because, at this point in time, you don't get a lot of chances to spend time with individuals and friends and stuff like that. So it was good. It was great.
Yeah.
It was well needed.
And if anybody's worried about the COVID protocols and, not being Jason being in my bubble, that kind of thing, Jason said a really, really appropriate thing on the weekend that in film, we're probably actually some of the safest people in the country. We get tested so much. We have to be adhering to very strict protocols every day, everywhere we are. I don't have anybody outside of the film world that I see other than my immediate bubble. And you and I are very safe getting together and watching the fights.
Yeah, man. Because I'm the same way. I have my film people, my work people, and I love my job. I love it so much. That's all I do now. That's all I do is work. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I hear you. So, okay, well, why don't we get right into it? We can break down the UFC. You and I were watching. We were taking notes. We got a lot of things to talk about. Obviously, the biggest fight of the night was the main card, and it turned out to be a very, very interesting fight. A lot of people were really on Burns, thinking that his power, the speed, the jiu-jitsu that he brought to the fight would really give Usman the biggest trouble that he ever had. And he really went well. The beginning of the fight, it looked like he had Usman in trouble, had him on his back foot. And we were both like commenting, wow, he's really taking the fight to him. But Usman was able to turn that around and take the victory. But how did you feel Burns approached the fight in the early stages?
Well, Burns' approach to the fight was fantastic. He rocked Usman early, but he made a mistake. He made actually a very critical mistake. He did not jump on him enough. I think he gave Usman too much credit, and we're giving him that credit that he gave Usman, gave him the chance to recover just enough to eventually turn the tides of that fight. Because I felt that if there was a crack in Usman's armor, it was right there in the beginning of the fight. He didn't jump on it, not nearly quick enough, and it ended up costing him the fight.
Yeah, sure did. Yeah, it's Burns. You have to give the champ, his due, and you can't make mistakes. We've seen a lot of fighters try to jump on guys and go in too fast. It also seemed like he didn't have this conditioning that he needed to. He looked like he got really tired after that first round flurry. It seemed like Usman was able to be the fresher fighter and utilize that jab. That jab was so stiff. Like he knocked him down a couple times with a jab, which is very, very rare in championship caliber fighters.
Yeah, the piston-like jab that was super powerful. That was basically almost like a cross. That's how powerful his jab was, and that definitely changed Burns's approach to the fight, because he was just getting picked off by that jab consistently and constantly throughout the majority of the fight, and eventually started hurting him very, very badly.
Did Usman surprise you how dominant he ended up being?
A little bit, actually. I thought that Burns would have had a better game plan, also to counter whatever Usman was going to be throwing at him, since they've been fighting together and against one another in practice for so long, that I thought that he would be more familiar with whatever Usman was going to throw at him. But at the end of the day, power is power, and Usman has a ton of that, and that's what eventually got him the win and defeated Gilbert Burns.
Yeah, that teammate scenario was different. We don't see it as much anymore. Teammates fighting teammates, and Usman had to move to Colorado and fight with that team there, the Elevation Fight team. Trevor Whitman is a fantastic coach and really has been able to rise a lot of his fighters to the top in prominence. And one of them is Justin Gaethje. And I noticed a tweet happening early in the fight that said, just wait till round 3. Usman's going to take him out. And it was only 34 seconds into round 3 when the fight was stopped. So, yeah, he knows that fighter. He's seen him for, I guess, about a year, and really was giving him a lot of credit to finish this fight then.
Oh, yeah. Well, you could tell that the beginning of the end was beginning to come at the end of the second, because I believe he sat Burns down with the right again. And then once Burns got up, you could see the dejection in his body as he was going back to the corner. It was almost the face of a defeated fighter already before he came out for the third round. So I was not surprised to see the end come as quickly as it did in the third.
I think I saw a surprise on your face when we actually did see Burns's face and how much damage that had been done to him at the end.
Yeah. I was definitely surprised, because I just, obviously, as you're watching the fight, you're seeing the accumulation of strikes, but then just seeing the damage done to Burns' face, I was like, wow. I was actually quite shocked. I didn't think it would be that harsh a reality for his face, but it was.
Yeah, I think it was a good stoppage. Herb Dean jumped in. I think it should have been stopped at that point. And Usman, continues to be the champion. You made some comments early before the fight that you were actually sort of hoping for Burns a little more, because you thought that some of the possible records of George St. Pierre could be broken by Usman coming in. Once we did a comparison on their careers and we talked about the GOAT debate of the welterweight division, it's pretty obvious to me that George St. Pierre is, still in a class by himself. And did I put a lot of doubt in your mind that Usman's even in that category yet?
Oh, hell no. Once we went through the numbers, once we ran through the numbers and stuff, and the one thing that stands out with GSP is the 12 title defenses. Yeah. 12 title defenses. Usman only has 4, so he needs 8 more. So that means a couple more years at the top of sustained excellence. Yeah, that's going to be really, really hard for him to imitate and get there. Like that's a very high bar to cross, super high.
Usman actually started calling out George St. Pierre a little bit, asking him to come back. He said, I'd love to fight him. I know, he said he's retired, but why don't we prove it in the cage? How do you think that fight would turn out?
Oh, I'm always going to give it to GSP. I really am, because he's proven that he can fight bigger guys. He did it with Bisping. With Bisping always saying, "Oh, he's a little man. He can't hang with me." And then once he got in the ring, he's like, "Oh, got bigger." So So you
Exactly.
know what I mean? Like and GSP is incredibly cerebral. He'll probably look at all the things that Usman doesn't do well and exploit them to the greatest of his ability, which will be enough for him to win, I think, eventually.
Yeah. Speaking of Usman callouts, he decided to go after what he called Jesus, Jorge Masvidal. He said there was a built-in excuse for Masvidal last time, only having the 6 days to prepare for that fight. He said we had asked for the fight earlier, and he said no, and then earlier again, and he said no, and so he would have had a full camp, but 6 days notice. Masvidal came in, had to do weight cut, all the types of things. And he said, built an excuse. He said, give me a chance, even if he has a full camp, I'll smash him. Do you think that fight is going to get put together by the UFC?
Love for that fight to get put together by the UFC. I would love it, but you know what? It's kind of murky waters now because you don't really have a firm number one that Usman should fight next. I would love to see it. I'd love to see it because there's already bad blood there. They don't like each other that much. And yes, there is that built-in excuse because he only did have 6 days. You know what I mean? So not a full fight camp. I think Jorge Masvidal would do a heck of a lot better with a full fight camp. I personally do than what we saw there. And also, Usman saying a lot of things about how he didn't take the fight. To be honest, he didn't take the fight because he was scared. He didn't take the fight initially because of the money. Money wasn't right.
I see.
Right?
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
So now if they make the money right and everything else is good, then the fight can happen. I just don't know if that's the way the UFC wants to go right now at this point in time in that division.
Do you think Leon Edwards deserves a shot?
I think Leon Edwards needs another fight to get the shot. That's what I think. And I don't know who that person is that Leon Edwards should fight as of yet. I think it was Chimaev at first, but then the COVID protocols sewered that whole fight. So, but I think honestly that Edwards needs a fight to get the fight.
True.
So.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think he, should get a tune-up. And I think the pay-per-view numbers for that fight between Usman and Burns were 1.3 million, which UFC likes putting together big fights. I think they could probably do even more numbers. That was in July. I think a lot more people would be home in the winter and prepared to do a pay-per-view. So I can see the UFC putting together Masvidal Usman too, and Masvidal should definitely show a lot better of his potential having a full fight camp. But I think Usman just is another notch above that whole entire division at this point.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you on that because he's just running through guys, and even when he was hurt with his Burns, he was able to have the wherewithal to recollect himself, refocus, and then put his opponent away. So yeah, he's that good.
Usman, they showed so many things that he, is leading the welterweight ranks right now. 13-fight win streak, over 2 hours of control time, 55% control time, 40% top position percentage, no time on the bottom, percentage of first in striking differential, first in total strikes. He's third in takedowns. So yeah, he just does everything well, and I just thought he was a notch above. I said it to others as this fight led up. I see Adesanya being that way in his division, and we saw John Jones being that way in his division. We see a lot of these fighters that end up becoming the champs. There's just another level that they have compared to the rest of the division by far.
Oh yeah, there's definitely another level. Like there's, as they say, there's levels to this game, and they're at the highest possible level of the game. And then that's why they're the champs. That's why they're the champs.
Yeah. What about Colby Covington? Where do you see him fighting? Do you think he fights Edwards next?
Yeah, I you know what? That's a possibility. Both those guys are fighting right now. And then also too with the hoopla that Covington always brings to a fight with his Trump support and all that other nonsense. Yes, so I could see that. That would actually be a very good fight because that would be number 2 versus number 3 in the division. So that'd be good.
And the only other guy is Stephen Thompson at 5, who had a really fantastic showing his last outing. Yeah, and Burns is going to slip down, so there might be somebody else coming into that top 5 when they make the rankings later on today. Usman got 50 grand for performance of the night. The Hernandez Marquez fight that we'll talk about later, we got fight of the night. Both those guys got 50K. And Polyana Viana, she got a 50K performance bonus as well, and we'll talk about that in a sec. So yeah, I'm really glad that we were able to watch that fight. I thought it was a great fight, and it turned out really well. And yeah, Usman remains the champ, and I think yeah, it could be a long run for him. I think it's going to be hard for very many guys to take him off the top of the ladder there. So why don't we get into the co-main event? Macy Barber comes in. She's nicknamed the Future, the youngest fighter on the card, ranked number 10 in the division. Takes on Alexa Grasso, who's actually ranked number 15 in the division. And Grasso really dominated those first 2 rounds. She was really the better fighter. Macy Barber put on a really, really valiant effort in the 3rd round, but she was already behind 2 rounds to nothing. And Grasso got the decision. I wasn't impressed with this being the co-main event, but it turned out to be a good fight anyway.
Yeah, it did. It did actually. Like both ladies brought the fight, that's for sure. But Grasso looked really good on her feet. Very educated hands in this fight. Very clean shots and technique that she was throwing out there against Barber. And also, too, her grappling exchanges and her transitions were a lot better than they've ever been in any of her fights. She looked fantastic in this fight against Barber. And Barber didn't look bad herself. Super game. She made the fight close, but Grasso clearly won this fight in my eyes.
Yeah, she was picking her power shots. She was able to land them. She threatened a lot of submissions. And yeah, I was really impressed with her. I think the future is very bright for her. She's very, very, very much improved since her debut. I thought she was very limited in her skill set, and whatever camp she's in, I think it's in Brazil. She's been able to really, really advance her skill level, and she seems great at all areas now. Her grappling has never been better. Her striking's never been better. It's great to see somebody be able to put that much weapons in their repertoire after coming in a little limited sometimes in their early part of their career.
Yeah, man. Like she's definitely grown and evolved her fight game to a point that now it's becoming a lot more polished than what we've ever seen. And yeah, congrats to her on that win. It was a big win on her part, so that she can now, I believe, top the top 10 in the division.
Yeah, crack. She should be able to crack that, or crack into that. Yeah, I'm having a hard time saying that as well. Okay, let's talk about the Kelvin Gastelum, Ian Heinisch fight. We were both surprised to hear that Heinisch was a Rikers Island resident at one point and had spent some time in prison there. He has been able to really turn his life around and forge a really great MMA career, 14-3 going into this fight. But Kelvin Gastelum, yeah, one of the elite fighters. When you see him at his top game, he's great. He's very inconsistent, but tonight or Saturday night, he was on his game and really showed his top skills.
Yes, he was. He was definitely on top of his game. Whenever he shot for a takedown, it was always on point and on time. And he looked great in this fight. But more importantly, he controlled the pace and the trajectory. Wherever the fight went, he actually was always in control of the fight, consistently.
He had a career-high 6 takedowns. Heinisch was trying for arm bars and shoulder locks and different things, but Gastelum had it mounted, so very, very tough to get submissions like that when you're mounted. 3 years since his last victory, and he was really emotional. One of the most emotional times I've ever seen from Gastelum.
Yeah, and rightfully so. Like it's taken that long for him to finally get back into the winner's column. It's super tough, I'm sure, for any fighter to go that long without a win. So that it becomes very mentally taxing on a person. So a great win by him against a very tough opponent in Ian Heinisch.
He went 5 rounds with Adesanya, and not many people have. So he's proved that he can hang with the elite of the division. But yeah, there have been troubles. There has been inconsistencies. He did get suspended for a marijuana positive test. So let's hope he's got his bleep together, and he can really rise back up the ranks and maybe get another title shot eventually.
Yeah, well, if he does keep it all together, like he has the skill set and the talent to go to as far as he wants to go. He has all of that, right? So, because you could even argue that even in this division that he's in right now at 185, he's an undersized 185er, and he's still that good.
Yeah.
So hopefully he can get his get everything together, bring it all together, and start making another run towards a title shot.
There was a tweet in the bottom of the corner. I like following those during the fights these days, and somebody won $32,000. They put $4,000 in, I believe it was, and it was a parlay, and with the Gastelum winning in decision, he was able to get $32,000. So way to go! Pretty impressive, ballsy, and yeah, I wasn't so lucky. I didn't win any money on Saturday night, but congratulations to the guy that did there. Let's talk about the Ricky Simón, Brian Kelleher battle. Ricky Simón grinded out a decision. A really big cut with an elbow seemed to really affect Kelleher a lot. He was wiping at it. He was wincing. That seemed like it caused him a lot of damage. And Simón was the better fighter the entire fight, I thought.
Yeah, he was. And he just, I kind of appreciate the way that he goes about his business in the octagon. It's just a relentless attack. He doesn't let you breathe. He kind of suffocates you with his offense because he's completely and always on. He's always on you. So, and that's what he did to Kelleher. He just basically eventually just drained the man. He drowned him. Pretty much.
Yeah.
Took him into those deep waters and just drowned him with his constant attack and his constant grappling and just takedowns and all of that.
He is on a 3-fight win streak. That was 2 wins in 3 weeks. He only fought 3 weeks ago and he got a second victory. And there's talk about Edson Barboza being his next opponent.
Tough fight. That is a major step up in competition for Simón. He's going to have to be worried about shooting in on takedowns and Barboza throwing those knees right up the gut or an uppercut. So if this is going to be a good challenge for Simón to see if he can get past Barboza. Tough fight though, really tough. I'm looking forward to that. If that fight's made, I really want to see that fight.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Should be exciting. I was excited when I heard the possible matchup, so let's hope they put it together. The opening fight of the main card was Julian Marquez against Maki Pitolo, and this was a very, very fun fight. 2 very game opponents, and the Cuban Missile Crisis ended up getting a submission win, very late submission choke. Anaconda choke that it was fun. This was one of my favorite fights of the night, and I really enjoyed how Marquez ended up grinding out the victory.
Yeah, man, because it was up, it was down, it was chaotic. There was no feel out process. Wanted to take each other's heads off. It was freaking awesome. It's a great fight, man. But going into that third round, Pitolo had the fight in hand. He just had to stay away from knockout or submission, and he couldn't do it. He got caught right at the end of the third round, and Marquez pulls off the miraculous victory. He really does.
Yeah.
But I loved what he had to say post-fight interview, which is, as any fighter should be, any fighter, I never gave up on myself. I always thought I had a chance to win. And so until I feel that final buzzer, I'm going until I can win or the fight stopped.
Yeah.
One of you thought it was awesome.
Yeah, it was really awesome. During the prelims, they're on ESPN. It's cable television. We hear post-fight interviews and they keep getting bleeped out. We don't catch them all because a guy will say a swear word. During the corner between the second and the third round, James Krause was into his face and saying to Julian, effing knock him out, take this fight, and he was throwing a lot of F-bombs at him and saying, this fight isn't yours unless you finish it. And Marquez, you can see, he took it to heart. He went after it. And he just landed some really good blows until he could take the fight to the ground. And that choke was a phenomenal move. I thought it at first was a Darce choke, but it turned out to be an anaconda, and it was a great move. Only 43 seconds left. If it went to the judge's hands, he would have lost that decision, but he pulled out the late victory. It was fun.
No, it was fun. It was awesome. It was an awesome fight. And I love the fact that Marquez most certainly listened to his coach, but he put it on himself. And he emptied the tank just to get him down to the ground. He emptied the tank with strikes and hit him and hurt him. Finally got him to the ground. And within a very, very limited amount of time, got that ridiculous anaconda choke to win the fight.
Joe Rogan called it a slobber knocker. Marquez was happy to hear that. I loved Marquez post-fight interview. He talked about the Kansas City Chiefs fans being the loudest of all time. He really wanted to get fans on his support. He shouted out a Miley Cyrus Valentines request, an invitation to her to be his Valentine. She responded. She said, if you will shave an MC into your chest for Miley Cyrus, I'll be your Valentine. He decided to take it a step further and say, why don't you get a henna tattoo and have on it the Cuban Missile Crisis? And then we're Valentines for sure. And she said, one request too many. You could have had this. You messed up. You're an idiot. See you later. So it went back and forth. It was kind of fun. I'm glad she responded, and I'm glad it went back and forth, but it wasn't a love connection in the end.
A tattoo? You wanted to put a tattoo on? Oh man. There's certain, I guess there's certain levels to celebrityhood, Yeah. And since she's there, my friend, just do whatever she tells you to do. And then just go with that. No coming back. No, there's no comeback. Just
no comeback.
You can do whatever she tells you.
Just immediately do it. Send her the picture and boom, it's done. Yeah. And discuss anything else after the first date or after the first get together.
Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, are you serious? Like, first off, that was never supposed to happen. She was not supposed to respond to you. And then she did it.
She actually did.
Yeah. And then you're like, you know what? I'm going to double down. See if I can get her. See if I can get her to put a tattoo of myself on her. Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, it was a fun Twitter exchange. I was loving it. I couldn't get enough. I was hoping there'd be a bit more before we went to air, but I hope there's more exchanges, and hopefully he can redeem himself somehow and get that date, because way to get on him. I can't even believe she responded, and it was pretty funny, but lesson learned. Once she says sure, do what she's got to do and take it from there.
Please.
The fight was affected. There was 3 fights canceled. This made a 13 fight card down to a 10 fight card. There was some changes to it, but the top fight of the prelims was Rodolfo Vieira, Anthony Hernandez, which turned out to be fight of the night. These guys really brought it. And Vieira was a very, very big favorite. He was the betting favorite for Vegas going into this. And we both immediately saw the matchup and saw the size of Vieira, the skills. He's an undefeated fighter going in. We thought, oh man, overmatched. Sorry, Hernandez, you're not going to win this fight. And he put on a hell of a performance and pulled out this victory. Yeah,
I guess I learned my lesson. Never judge a book by its cover, so to speak, right? And I did. I definitely gave it to Pierre. I thought, he's undefeated. The man looks like a little mini tank. Yeah, I don't see Hernandez doing anything. I see him just being a victim here. It's too bad. And then that's not what happened. That was not how this story was written.
No.
because Vieira, with all that extra muscle, gassed.
Yeah.
Gassed out so super hard that in the second he really had nothing left.
Mm.
Nothing left, man. And Hernandez capitalized on that, took advantage of that. He was clearly the more um, um, disciplined fighter when it came to his training for his endurance. So he was able to take that fight and finish him with an arm-in guillotine, man. Finish the submission specialist with an arm-in guillotine.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Was one
Absolutely.
one of the most impressive performances I've seen in years. You know, such a massive underdog, and he just said, "No, I'm taking this." He's finished 7 of his 8 wins, 6 submissions. Vieira finally tapped, and it was incredible. I think the whole place would have went bananas if we had a full crowd in there, but just Joe Rogan, DC were just wow screaming. They couldn't believe how exciting that was and how much of a massive win it was for Hernandez.
Yeah, it was huge, man, because that was not supposed to happen. That was not even close to what was supposed to happen. And I love the underdog story. I really do. And that was as underdog as it gets.
Yeah. Okay, there's a couple more fights we got to get to, but I want to mention our partners and sponsors first. So let's talk about Anchor. They've been a great partner and sponsor for Complete Sports Media. They've been great at posting on multiple podcast platforms for us, and they call themselves the easiest place to make a podcast. So go to anchorfm.com and you're able to follow the steps, get involved with them. You can do a podcast like Jason and I are doing here. Hopefully it's not doing the same thing we do. Hopefully you can find some other vein and enjoy yourself as much as we do. I want to talk about Verbero, the hockey equipment and apparel company. They're the industry leader in technology, performance, and value. And the V350 stick is a stick you need to get immediately. Pampas and Possibilities. They design and sell dried florals, do floral arrangements and installations. And Forever Living, the aloe vera company. They grow and manufacture aloe vera-based products for health and beauty. So thank you to our partners and sponsors. We really appreciate all the support. And all you have to do is go to completesportsmedia.com, follow some links, and you'll be able to purchase products at reduced prices. So thank you again. So, okay, why don't we talk about the Belal, remember the name, Muhammad victory, decision win over Diego Lima. We both found out that Diego Lima's brother is the champion in the middleweight division in Bellator, and he's a little more of the famous Lima brothers, but Diego was pretty game. But Belal Muhammad has really improved his game, and he is really almost unbeatable these days. He's on a great win streak, and he's looking better and better every time.
Yeah, he is, and pressured Lima every round. Never let Lima take control of the fight at any point in time in this fight. Kept him on the back foot the entire time. The busier fighter attacked him with his strikes, grappling exchanges. Lima had the only thing I could point to was the leg kicks were pretty effective.
Yeah.
But he did not keep busy enough with that by taking away Belal's base and Belal's pressure. I think in the end really got to Lima and ended up costing him the win and getting Belal the win.
Yeah. Yeah, Belal said those calf kicks were brutal. He had to, shift his weight a lot more onto his other leg. He said, they were really affecting him. I love his Twitter handle. It's Bully170. His pace was just phenomenal. He was just on him, just pressuring him, and the pace was just brutal on Lima. Lima just couldn't take it. Amazing boxing, really good takedown defense. And he's I really think we have to remember the name because he's a guy that's going up and up and up the ranks. And I think in the welterweight division, look out, Belal Muhammad's coming. So you want to mention anything about the women's strawweight fight between Viana and Martin? Viana got a $50K bonus for that fight. What did you think about her performance? She got the victory, a submission in the first round.
Yeah, and Martin made the mistake of taking her to the ground. Took her to the ground, and then Vienna, pretty much as soon as she got to the ground, was already putting into motion of setting up the triangle choke, like almost immediately. And then a couple seconds later, that quick, that fast, the way she threw up her legs and had the triangle choke. It took her a long time to secure it, but like when you have that advantage at the beginning of a round, then you can just take your time and just. So she went back from armbar to triangle choke, armbar to triangle choke until she finally got the submission. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I was actually surprised that Mallory Martin was the favorite in this. Vienna has finished all 12 of her opponents, 11 in the first round. I just thought, I don't see her getting dominated by Martin, and Vienna was definitely the better fighter in this. And I think she's going to move up the strawweight ranks with that victory. The Chris Gutierrez performance, decision win on Andre Ewell. That was a catchweight fight at the beginning of the night. Really good performance. Really amazing armbar, and he just really was impressive in so many aspects of this early fight. And I liked Gutierrez brought.
Yeah, no, I like that. I like the leg kicks that he brought to the table against Ewell, and just the fact that he was able to overcome some sort of personal challenge in his life at that point in time. He alluded to it post-fight. Didn't really get into it, obviously. But after having something of that magnitude weigh on you and still to put on a performance like that is pretty spectacular. So great win by Chris Gutierrez.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, there was huge news today. Stefan Struve has retired from the UFC and MMA. I have some notes here that I made. He had an inner ear issue that he was battling since May of last year. He caught a viral infection which damaged his vestibular system. He can't hear currently out of his right ear. Some nerve damage. Some new tests learned that the vestibular system is not working properly. He has a lot of work health-wise to try to get back to normal. There's something called benign paroxysmal positional vertigo. So he's having major vertigo issues, hearing loss and tinnitus in his ear. I'm glad that he's decided to retire. This sounds very serious, and I hope he's able to address it and get back to full health.
Yeah, it sounds super serious because I've suffered from an inner ear infection, and you don't have any equilibrium. You can't walk, and so whatever he's dealing with sounds, I don't know, 10 times worse than what I had to deal with. So it's unfortunate that this has cost him, like now he has to retire because of this, but health comes first and foremost for anybody or any of these fighters. So I'm glad that he's taking the steps to try to correct this and take care of himself.
I always thought his career would turn out better than it did. Being the skyscraper, being pretty much 7 feet tall, having that reach advantage, being able to keep guys on the outside with kicks and punches. I thought, it'd be very, very, very challenging and difficult to fight a guy like that. But most people were able to get inside, get those strikes, knock him out. He suffered a lot of brutal knockouts and just didn't have the career that I kind of thought he might have.
Yeah, no, I think possibly one of his problems though was the fact that it's kind of a plodding fighter. He didn't have the necessary speed to keep those, obviously had the length, but the speed to keep people on the outside too as well. Maybe
Right.
that's the one thing that he kind of lacked.
Yeah.
And if he had that, then maybe his career would have been a lot better.
Finished in 42 matches, 29-13. His last two fights were losses to Tai Tuivasa and Ben Rothwell. He beat Marcos Rogerio de Lima, was his last victory in 2019. He lost 5 of his last 6. So it was probably time to hang him up, even if he wasn't having these health issues. But a lot of really fun fights, a lot of really great battles. it was always amazing to see him fighting a very, very much smaller guy. You always wondered, wow, how is this guy going to be able to, take on this task? And yeah, I was glad he, joined the UFC, 7-footer, tough heavyweight guy. He had some big victories, but yeah, little too many losses, and yeah, the health has told him that he has to retire.
Yeah, man. It's too many losses, and yes, but he did provide a lot of joy for me as this ridiculous, almost WWE-esque character with his height and just this big man. One of my favorite actual pictures that I've seen of Stefan Struve was him with Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson, and one of the smallest dudes with one of the largest dudes.
Nice.
It was awesome picture. Great stuff.
Cool. Yeah, that's cool. We'll have to find that online and post it. Yeah, that's really amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, the other big story that came out of sort of the UFC, sort of UFC adjacent, Gino Carano was fired from The Mandalorian this past Wednesday, and Ariel Helwani made some comments about it, saying that it was abhorrent and brutal. She should be, in very deep trouble for, her comments. Then Dana White said that Ariel Helwani is a douche for making it about him. And so they renewed their feud that they've been having for tons of years. And yeah, I was surprised that Gino Carano still sort of makes it into mixed martial arts UFC news.
Yeah, she does. She does. And I love Dana White's comments about him making it about himself. I know what those comments that she made, that's about not about himself. That's about, his race, Jewish people, That's as far as I'm concerned, Dana, I don't usually think that's just about one person. It's about like a ton of people. You know what I mean? So, anyways, yeah, I don't think she gave Disney a choice. Not in this landscape that we now all live in. No. She didn't give him a choice.
No.
Had to let go of her. Gotta get rid of him. I'm sorry. You can't say stuff like that, right? Just can't.
Yeah. There was a lot of fallout from Frankie Edgar's huge knockout to Corey Sandhagen. A lot of people saying he should retire. I've seen a podcast with him, and I've seen an interview with Brett Okamoto off ESPN. And it's very interesting. I suggest, Jason, you watch it. I suggest our viewers and listeners go take a watch and listen to what Frankie says. But he says, no way I'm retiring. Like, there's no way. My coaches don't think I should retire. My wife might, but most of the people around me, they realize, yeah, you get caught. He said, I made a mistake. I should have come in with a punch or a kick as I was trying to go down for a takedown. That was a mistake, but you make that. It's a game where you make mistakes and you go to sleep. You get knocked out. So, but the most telling comments out of the interviews and the podcast that I saw was that his memory loss was pretty severe. He was in the cage and he looked around and said, "Has the fight started yet?" He said, "Who was I supposed to fight?" He said, "Was this a short notice fight?" He doesn't remember the 2 months training for this fight. He doesn't remember leaving the cage. He doesn't remember many, many aspects of it. He said about 15 minutes later, he had been asked in the cage what day it was. He didn't know. What month it was, he didn't know. He said about 15 minutes later, when he was in the locker room and he was talking to a doctor, he finally said, do you know what date it is? And he said, yeah, it's the 6th. And he said, all of a sudden, amazingly enough, that just flooded back a huge amount of memories. And he started just piecing things together. He still doesn't remember leaving the cage. He still doesn't remember 8 seconds. He said he remembers the first 20 seconds of the fight, but he doesn't remember the 8 seconds that it took to KO him. And that's our brain's defense mechanism to stop, the trauma. If you're in a car accident, if you're in a collision in football, if you're in, some serious traumatic brain event, your brain doesn't want you to remember that, doesn't want you to have that PTSD moment, so it forgets. But he seemed very lucid, very with it. This was 3 days after this fight. And yeah, I recommend you watching it, Jason, and our viewers and listeners as well.
Yeah, yeah. But here's the thing. And, obviously fighting is a very dangerous sport. Clearly it is. When you can't remember 2 months of stuff that you did, it's not good.
Yeah, yeah,
That's not really that good, right? But both of us knew once we saw that flying knee land, we both knew
yeah.
bad knockout, really, really bad knockout. So am I surprised to hear all this stuff that happened to him? Not really.
Yeah.
I just hope that he doesn't take any more knockouts of that kind of severity, because then that will force him to retire.
Sure.
You can't take too many blows like that. You just can't.
Brett Okamoto, made some comments and just said, hey, I believe, how tough you are, and, how with it you are, but, he was asking a lot of really poignant questions, just saying, most of us don't understand this and don't really, get it. And he did go and get a CAT scan. It turned out to be negative, and there wasn't, any brain bleed, anything that would cause concern to the doctors. They released him. He said he's just, he's sad about losing, but he's ready to get back in the gym and train. And he thinks he won't have any really long lasting effects. He said he trusts his team, and if they tell him it's time to retire, he's going to retire. He hopes to be the one to know before anybody else knows. And I'm glad he's not stepping away. I think he's a really amazing ambassador for the sport and a living legend. And I think he has a lot of really great fights to give still.
Yeah, yeah. So do I. So do I. I always appreciate watching Frank Gator good fights. The guy is just a monster in there. He's awesome. And I look forward to seeing many, many more. But when it is time to hang up, I would like to believe that he's smart enough to know when that is for him. Yeah. And I don't think that is for a while yet.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Okay, so that puts a wrap on the UFC for this week. We talked about doing a live podcast during this pay-per-view, but we've decided to do it March the 6th for UFC 259. So make sure you tune in the following couple of days after that one. Jason and I are going to get together for the next pay-per-view. And that one has 3 championship fights, incredible card from top to bottom, so many ranked fighters on it. Really excited and looking forward to UFC 259. It's going to have the light heavyweight main event between Jan Blachowicz and Israel Adesanya, the women's featherweight fight in the co-main between Amanda Nunes and Megan Anderson, and the bantamweight title bout between Peter Yan and Aljamain Sterling, and many, many great fights on this card. So I'm excited for that. It was really fun getting together and watching the fights with you this Saturday. I can't wait for March the 6th.
I can't wait either. 3 championship fights, man. Oh, you know what? I just can't wait. It's going to be a great night of fights, and I'm going to be watching it with you, and we're going to be doing a breakdown of all these fights. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait. I can't wait. I can't wait.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not going to be live like I've seen some people do, because we're going to start watching early prelims. I don't want to be live for 5-6 hours, even 3. It's too long. But we're going to intermix it. We'll do some pauses between fights so we can go get some food, have a drink or two, and but we'll be talking about the fights live, and I'll put together the podcast and release it in the following days. So something to look forward to, MMA fans. Next Saturday, the main event, UFC Apex. We've got the heavyweight battle between Curtis Blades and Derek the Black Beast Lewis. Well, what do you think about this titanic battle?
I want to see how much slimmer Derek Lewis comes in for this fight, because he's been slowly cutting down his weight, his size, and getting leaner and more fit. So I want to see what version of Derek Lewis we see against Curtis Blades, because depending on what version we get, that could be a lot of problems for Mr. Blades. Like a lot of problems, a lot of issues. But I'm super excited to see that fight against 2 behemoths of that nature go at it. I can't wait for that. I'm very very excited to see that.
Yeah, there's another heavyweight battle between Alexei Oleinik and Chris Daukaus, and you said you definitely favor Daukaus in that one. We've also got the top fight in the prelims is Andre Arlovsky fighting Tom Aspinall, and Eddie Wineland's fighting John Castaneda. There's quite a few great battles. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully, it's not affected as much as this past week was with 3 cancellations. Let's hope that we get a full entire main card and prelims, and lots to break down for Jason and I next Monday.
No, I'm looking forward to it, and fingers crossed about hopefully COVID doesn't rear its ugly head like it did in this last card.
Yeah. Okay, why don't we talk a little bit about the NBA? It's definitely in full swing. We've kind of put football on our rearview mirror now, and so we can focus a lot more on the NBA. There was a titanic battle between the Trailblazers and the Mavericks last night, just because it was Dame Lillard against Luka Doncic, and it's amazing to see two of the top guys in their sport battling. And Dame Lillard hit a 3-pointer with 30 seconds left to play to pull out the victory. Doncic had an opportunity to try to match it, wasn't able to sink the bucket. But Dame Lillard, he continues to amaze. And he has the most go-ahead field goals in the final minute since 2012 with 33. The guys that he's ahead of are LeBron James with 27, Anthony Davis with 24, and DeMar DeRozan with 24. So is Lillard kind of underrated? Is he kind of lost in Portland? Shouldn't he be talked about amongst the elite of the elite, or is he? I don't know. I just feel like there's so many other guys that get more shine than he does.
True. There is a lot of people that get a lot more shine than he does. But if you talk to the pros, the professionals, they all respect Dame Lillard's game because he's got crazy game, right? And then for those basketball real fans, the nuts like us, we understand how good Damian Lillard is. I'm not surprised to hear that stat line about him, though, with 33 points, because he's an absolute assassin when it comes into the fourth quarter. And on top of all of that, he kind of has to pick up the slack because his running mate, CJ McCollum, is out with an injury right now because of a broken foot. So he's not going to be coming back for still quite some time.
Sure.
And it just makes things so much harder for him because now defenses can actually key on Dame because he's the only guy back there, right? So it's tough, and it's tougher for him to get his shots off, but he's still Dame Lillard, and look at what he did against the Mavericks. Yeah. And the Mavericks, unfortunately, have been struggling as of late. They just can't seem to find their groove that they had last season at all.
Look at Doncic's stat line: 36 minutes, 44 points, 9 assists, 7 rebounds. The guy is just absolutely phenomenal. He doesn't have enough help, and you got to feel sorry for him. They're not going anywhere this year, playoffs wise, if they don't make some deals and trades. But 44, 9, and 7. Like, what more can he do to try to pull out the victory for them?
Yeah, like actually, right now, I can kind of liken Doncic's his current position in the team, kind of like, well, not as bad, but as Bradley Beal's same situation in the Washington Wizards. It's kind of the same thing, except Beal's team is garbage and Doncic's team is just not that bad, but they're still struggling with the same thing.
The Raptors suffered a terrible loss yesterday to the worst team in the league, the Timberwolves. I watched the entire game and was really disappointed on their performance. You're supposed to take care of the worst team in the league. Minnesota came into the game 6-20, by far the worst team, and the Raptors let them hang around. And Pascal Siakam had a chance at the end. I don't know how the bucket didn't fall when he drove to the hoop, but they shouldn't have been relying on something at the end to try to pull out a tie or a win. I was impressed with Anthony Edwards. He's a great rookie, and I like watching him. I haven't watched a ton of Minnesota games because they have been so horrible, and it's not fun to watch a horrible team. But another guy that you have to feel for is Karl Anthony Towns. He lost 6 family members to COVID. He got COVID himself. His father got COVID, has recovered. But just the heartbreak that he had to overcome, and just the, concern and worry that he had with COVID, all these family members of his dying from it. He has to be the comeback player of the year story for sure.
Yeah, man, because he's literally the rest of the season he plays with a heavy heart because of just the extreme tragedy that he's had to deal with the whole COVID stuff and everything. So, and then that tragedy has definitely trickled down to the team because he hasn't been able to play with the team. He hasn't been there. So, and that's why that also compounds upon why their record is just so poor. So, but going back to the Raptors though, I think that's why you're now hearing trade talks with Kyle Lowry going somewhere or something like that, or another piece leaving, because they simply just don't have it this year. And Masai Ujiri is just not going to be complacent and just be like, wow, we'll just play out the year. No, that dude doesn't do that. So there's going to be a change at some point in time during this season. As long as he gets the pieces that he needs coming back, then you'll see some movement at some point.
Yeah, the latest rumors are Lowry for Andre Drummond. The Cleveland Cavaliers have decided to sit Andre Drummond. He's not going to play another game until the trade deadline if they're trying to make the trade. So the Raptors are in talks right now with it, hoping they don't give up Lowry. Hopefully there's some other pieces that they can convince Cleveland to take. But Andre Drummond will be a huge addition. He's one of the top rebounders in the NBA year after year. And brings a really big compete level. And he's been, in Cleveland, he hasn't been pouting. He hasn't been, just not playing hard. He's playing hard as he can, but they just don't have the people around him. And it'd be a great addition for the Raptors. I hope it's not Lowry because, he's just done so much for this organization and been such a focal point and fixture and fan favorite and stuff. But it looks like, it's a real possibility that Cleveland and Toronto get together in these trades.
Yeah. It would be interesting if the trade does happen, how Drummond fits into the Raptors lineup. I think it would definitely change the whole configuration of the team. Like the team would play differently if Drummond were to be there, for sure. But I'm with you. I would like it to be somebody else because I love Kyle Lowry. I love his game. And I love the fact that Fred VanVleet and Lowry are kind of the same kind of players, super gritty and can just get it done, So it'd be great to not see that happen, but something is going to happen, whether it's Lowry or somebody else.
Do you have a favorite NBA team these days? Have you had a favorite NBA team that you always have had allegiance to? I don't know why I'm not aware of this, but who's your team?
I guess right now I'd say Golden State. Okay. I love watching Golden State because I'm a huge Steph Curry fan. Like I'm a massive Steph Curry fan. But growing up back in the day, Charlotte Hornets. That was my team. Wow. With and I'll tell you, it was with Alonzo Mourning, Larry, Grandmama Johnson, Muggsy Bogues, Kendall Gill. That was my team back in the day. That was the team I grew up with. I loved them. I had the bomber jacket, the Charlotte Hornets bomber jacket. Like I had all that stuff. So that was it. But right now, I'd say it's Golden State Warriors. I like watching them.
So you must have been excited when Michael Jordan decided to, get in there and take over that team.
Yeah, I was, but at the same time, I was like, how is he as a GM? And then I saw it, and I wasn't excited anymore.
Yeah,
like, I was kind of sad.
I've always been so shocked that Michael Jordan wasn't the most successful general manager in the history of basketball because if you pulled players for about the last 20 years, Michael Jordan being their favorite player was on the top of almost everybody's list. And so he should have been able to convince the top most elite players in the NBA to go there, even though Charlotte's a bit of an outpost. It's not, LA, New York, that kind of thing. just to be able to be in the presence of Jordan and learn from him and, help him win championships and stuff. I think he could have convinced Kobe to go there. I think he could have convinced so many guys. Like, the list of people that put Michael Jordan as their favorite player is just massive. So why wasn't Jordan able to do this?
Good question. Great question. Maybe it was because it was Charlotte. And also too, maybe like like the superstars of the league at that point in time, they looked at the team and just said, well, what pieces do you have? And it's like, you don't have anything. You don't have anything for me to play with. Like I need something. I can't just do this on my own. Well, James Harden would be like, oh, this is great for me. I'll just do this. I'll just do my thing. I don't need anybody. It's awesome. but you know what I mean? Like, like other superstars would be, I need something here. And there was just nothing there for such a long time.
Yeah, I just feel like, when you see some of these guys like Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, they get together and say, hey, I want to play together. Let's make this work. And they were able to make it work. LeBron James reaches out and says to Anthony Davis, hey, I want you. Let's make this work. And, so you just have to get one superstar to convince another superstar. And, they build around it. Look what LeBron did. He went to LA. LA was a terrible team when LeBron joined them. They didn't make the playoffs that first year, but he's been able to, convince the, top of the players, one of the best players in the NBA to join him, and then a lot of really good talent around them as a supporting cast. So I'm just amazed that Michael Jordan wasn't able to do this. I would have thought it would have been almost an easy recruiting job for him to say, come here and, let me impact my wisdom and my basketball savviness and championship abilities, and we'll win tons of titles here.
Yeah, you would have thought that was going to happen like that, but it just hasn't manifested. But, so then if it's not going to manifest like that, so then you just have to draft well. He hasn't done that. So, but now with LaMelo Ball coming in and looking like LaMelo Ball is legit, maybe now they got a chance to build on something right now, like with Devontae Graham and Gordon Hayward and stuff and LaMelo Ball. Like maybe they got the beginnings of something that they can build upon now. Finally,
I wasn't sure of Hayward, being able to go there and be an impact player, but he's played fantastic. And LaMelo Ball is exciting. He's really exciting, and he's really brought a swagger there that I didn't see coming. And it's actually a fun team and a team that you want to try to catch when they have games.
Yeah, man, they are fun to watch. Like in LaMelo Ball. At certain points in time, I'm not saying all the time, but he does remind me of Magic. Some of those passes remind me of Magic, man. So yeah.
Okay, a few other things to get to. Anthony Davis hurt his Achilles last night. Was taken off the court. He had an MRI today. Haven't heard the results yet, but a massive blow to the Lakers, who are near the top of the Western Conference. He struggled with injuries quite a bit over the last few years and has been in and out of the lineup a lot, but this one looked quite serious.
Hopefully it's not a complete Achilles tear, or else he's gone for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
And that will definitely severely hamper the Lakers' chances to win the championship. Or LeBron goes into, well, I'll just go into God mode and then they still win. So I don't know. Well, I guess we're going to see just how bad that injury is. But if he's out, now the Lakers aren't a guarantee anymore. Not no lock, that's for sure.
Kyrie went up to James Harden before the game the other night. Somebody heard this and he said, this is how it works. You're the point guard. I'm the shooting guard. Case closed. Walked away. And we've talked so much about Kyrie Irving and the frustration that he can give us, but was that a frustrating comment to hear, or was that hey, yeah, that's a smart comment to make?
It was expected. That's what I expect from Kyrie, because you know what, Kyrie just basically kind of said it like this. You can interpret it this way: I'm going to shoot, you're going to pass.
Yeah.
Thanks. And he's basically, he's not going to sacrifice any point of his game. Harden has actually sacrificed the most out of the big three since he's been there. He's been passing, he's been doing all those things. But now Kyrie's really put a stamp on it and said, no, just keep doing that. Don't take too many shots. I appreciate that.
We were really skeptical about this possibility of this working, this big three, because they all want the ball, they all want to drive. But have you been surprised that Harden has been taking a backup role? He had 16 assists the other night. He only shot the ball 14 times. Kyrie launched it 28 times. And so he's sacrificing his point total, but 16 assists for Harden. I don't even know if he had 16 assists all last season, the whole entire year. And he had it in one game this weekend. Can you believe the transformation he's got brought to his game? And he maybe didn't even need Kyrie to come say this because he's already doing it.
Yeah, I think that's just kind of a little bit like a little disrespect because he's clearly doing it, right? Like he's clearly doing it. I maybe Kyrie's just like not doing it enough. I don't know. But like for him to cut back as much as he's had and to sacrifice his game. And then let's be honest, James Harden could always pass. He's actually really good at it when he chooses to do it. But then now he's choosing to do it. He's choosing to sacrifice for the greater good of the team. But the team still has a problem, which is don't play any defense. You just try to outscore the other team. Yeah. And with those three guys, normally you should be able to outscore everybody. Yeah. But every once in a while, you're going to have to get a stop. And they haven't shown that they can do that. And on top of all of that, Kyrie, out of those three, is the one with I think he's the most defensive liability. Yeah. Well, him and Harden. They're both pretty bad, but him for sure because he's smaller than a lot of other guys at his position.
Yeah, yeah, the numbers, for Harden on Saturday night against the Warriors were 19 points, 16 assists, 8 rebounds. Phenomenal stat line. Kyrie had 23, 4, and 5. Kevin Durant had 20 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds in 33 minutes. They were able to beat the Warriors, who are a bit undermanned still. Steph Curry had 27 to lead the Warriors, but yeah, they just don't quite match up with the Nets at this point. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I'm sure we'll talk about Kyrie and these guys again next week. But I'm a little disappointed to hear that Kyrie has to make statements like that, and especially enough for reporters to hear, for media to hear, and
should
be handled in the locker room during practice, warm up, in the locker room, whatever it is. But anyway, let's just touch on a couple more topics. Clippers won last night without Kawhi and Paul George. Lou Williams was able to lead the charge with 30 points, and they're still third in the Western Conference. I'm not sure. Hopefully it's not long-term losses for the Clippers. But yeah, they're 20-8, looking good. They've won 3 in a row, 7-3 out of the last 10. So I don't think we got to be worried about them right at this point yet.
Oh, no, man. And also too, Paul George has been making a huge statement this season because he heard all the talk during the bubble and all of that stuff. And he's having an MVP caliber year thus far. But like I said before, regular season is cool stuff, man. You're doing great. Let's see what you do in the playoffs. Because that's what it all comes down to is the playoffs. Hey, he's making a bunch of noise now, and it's almost like he's gearing himself up because all of this is just a prelude to the playoffs. So if he can keep up this level of his game to this level like that, he's going to be great. Yeah. It's going to be great, but he has to do it in the playoffs.
Utah Jazz are still leading the West. Best record in the NBA, 22-5, 7 wins in a row, 9-1 in their last 10. Home records 12-2, away records 10-3. Just phenomenal start to the year for them. Lakers are second, 21-7. Clippers. Then we got the Suns, 17-9 in fourth place, 6 wins in a row and 9-1 in their last 10. They have taken those 8 games that they had in the bubble and shot out of the gate again in this early part of the season, and really fun team to watch. I've been really enjoying it. It's been. I'm so happy that they didn't regress once the season started.
No, they didn't. And then all their role players have gone up a level. And one guy that I want to point to that I think is having a fantastic season so far is Mikal Bridges.
Yeah.
I really like that dude's game. Like he's got the length to defend any positional player. He's usually day in, day out put on the other team's best offensive threat. That's what he does. And then also too, his 3-point stroke has improved dramatically. He's a fantastic player, and because of the fact of him, the ranking up that all the other guys have had for this season, and then with the addition of Chris Paul and Jay Crowder, the team hasn't looked better.
Yeah, they're looking great. And there was a big announcement yesterday, Valentine's Day. Devin Booker and Kendall Jenner are officially a couple, and they made some announcements. They posted some pictures of them being each other's Valentines and stuff. And yeah, he's found a woman that's kind of maybe, no, she's probably actually quite a bit higher on the financial scale than he is. So yeah, kind of an interesting sort of entertainment segment to our sportscast here.
Well, I hope she buys dinner because she makes more money, right? Doing her like her reality TV or whatever the Jenners do. I know, and you know what? Sometimes I get confused. I get confused because I'm like, I don't know which one you are. Which reality TV person are you? All right, cool, man. But hey, man, as long as he's in love and then she can buy for everything because I think she can afford more than he can. So that's great. I love it. I love it.
We mentioned the Blazers. I said, poor Dame being there a little bit. They're in 5th place, doing quite well. Spurs are in 6th. Nuggets and Warriors round out the top 8. The Spurs game tomorrow has been canceled. They don't have enough players to suit up to face the Pistons. They couldn't get 8 players because of COVID and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, COVID's rearing its ugly head, and hopefully we won't see a lot more cancellations. I really think the early part of this season is super crucial because I think the second half that they haven't worked the schedule out yet will be a lot smaller. I don't think they're going to have the full complement of games that they have in the first half as they have in the second half. So a lot of teams might be surprised thinking, oh, I've got lots of time to catch up. I've got lots of time to get in better position. I think the second half's going to be way, way shorter.
Yeah, because they're seeing the effects of COVID, and I'm sure every organization, player, staff member is doing their best to try to protect theyselves from COVID. But outlets everywhere in the U.S., so there's only so much you can do. I think they'd be better served to cut down their ambitious 72-game schedule. I just didn't think that was ever going to be a thing, especially at the breakneck speed that they're having games every day of the week. Yeah. And they still haven't stopped, which is actually pretty impressive. But at the same time, it's like eventually this is going to fall apart. I've never thought it was sustainable. So.
Mavericks, like we said, are struggling. The Kings were doing well. They've lost 3 in a row now, kind of coming back to reality. Pelicans down in 12th. Rockets having a horrible year. 13th. They've lost 5 in a row. Thunder 14th in the conference, and the T-Wolves, like I said, at the bottom. So that's the West. The East, 76ers are looking great. They've been okay, 6-4 of their last 10. Away record's only 7-7. Home, they're 11-12, and they're 15-4 in the conference. So they're leading the way. The Bucks fallen on some hard times lately. 3 losses in a row, 5-5 in their last 12, but they are second place in the conference. Brooklyn, we talked at length about. They're 3rd. Pacers 4th. Celtics, I don't know what's wrong with them right now. They've lost 2 in a row, 3-7 out of their last 10, 13-13 on the season. And yeah, they're not looking like the Celtics we saw in the playoffs. I don't know what's wrong with them. What can you point to?
With the Celtics, I want to say, I think with the Celtics, it might be a chemistry issue right now. Like it might be something going on within the teammates and stuff. Like they're just not seeing what their teammates are doing going forward. Like there's just no synergy between the players right now. And I think that's a problem. And also, too, their defense has not been up to the standards that we're used to seeing their defense being played at.
True, yeah. Charlotte, we talked a little bit about them. They're a little bit under 500, 13-15. The Knicks are in seventh, also 13-15. Raptors are in the eighth position at 12-15. 2 losses in a row after a little bit of a comeback. The Heat. Don't know what's wrong with the Heat. What do they need to turn this around? 11-15. Ninth place in the Western Conference, 5-5 of their last 10, and the last game was a loss.
Yeah, I want to say that I think COVID has really messed up their chemistry because they've had guys in and out of the lineup consistently over this entire course of this time. I want to say there's been actually very few games where they've had their starting 5 playing together, and I think that's definitely messed with their chemistry and all of that sort of stuff. And that's why I'm hearing talks about a possible trade with Miami Heat to move some pieces, to get some pieces back too. Mm-hmm. So they're having their issues as well. I really like the thing with Miami. I think they've been affected more by COVID than a lot of other teams, so.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, it feels like that's, enough to digest from the NBA, and yeah, nice to talk about a lot of goings on and how it's going. I was able to watch a bunch of games yesterday, which I was happy about. I'm sure I'll be watching some games tonight as well. And yeah, the NBA is taking a big step forward now that the NFL's done. And the only thing that came out about the NFL today was a lot of controversy about Tom Brady throwing the Super Bowl trophy from one boat to another. Did you see that footage?
Yes, I did. And you know what? He won his 7th. Yeah, he can do whatever he wants. Yeah. Sorry. It's not a big deal.
Enough said.
And also, too, he passed it to Gronk. What do you think he's going to drop it? Yeah, he didn't drop it. Caught it. Yeah, there you go. Case closed.
Case closed, yeah. We're going to probably talk a bit about football in this offseason because there's so many quarterbacks that are unhappy with their team or their team's unhappy with them. The quarterback shuffle is going to be unbelievable. And shockingly enough, the Seahawks aren't happy with Russell Wilson. So, wow, shocking news. He's went on a bit of a press tour and kind of said he really wanted a lot more say in the personnel decisions. And I think it rubbed the Hawks the wrong way. And yeah, we'll see. Hopefully, yeah, they can blow over and we don't lose him in the Pacific Northwest here because exciting quarterback. But he's unhappy with being sacked the most since he's been in the league. Almost 400 sacks he's taken as an NFL quarterback in Seattle.
I remember what happened to another quarterback that got sacked too much. He retired. That was Andrew Luck. So probably he probably wants to say because he's probably sick of getting freaking driven into the ground for most of his career. Yeah, I'd want to say too. And plus, on top of that, you're paying me a bunch of money. So what, do you want me to keep playing? Or do you want me to retire in 2 years because I can't play anymore?
Yeah. And he's the NFL Man of the Year. I don't agree too much with players making personnel decisions, but he should be consulted. We're thinking of making a trade. We're thinking of bringing in this guy, that guy. Why can't your franchise leader, the most important guy in your franchise, why can't he have a little bit of say? They don't have to, go with everything he wants and does, but can he have some say? He should.
Yeah, because I want to say that I think Peyton Manning, I think he had some say. I think they consulted him because he's a really smart dude, kind of understands football to a certain extent, right? So, I think it's important to have your star players a part of that process, especially the ones that control the freaking offense. You know what I mean? So it just makes sense to me. But who knows to what extent he wanted control? We don't know that.
True. Yeah. I guess the biggest story this past week was just J.J. Watt getting released by Houston at his request. And you and I talked briefly on Saturday. 2 destinations that make sense for him. Where should he go? Green Bay, Tampa Bay? Or Pittsburgh.
Or Pittsburgh, right? With his brothers. It'd be Tampa Bay. Let's be honest, be Tampa Bay. Because also too, like you said, it's not like necessarily like he needs an outstanding contract. He made all the money in the world. So he can even go there and just take the league minimum to say, well, I just want to win. And that would probably do it. Because if he took like something like the league minimum, they could keep pieces of that defense, right? So I don't know, man. At least he gets to pick and choose where he wants to go. So that's kind of nice. That's probably I think this is the first time in his career he's actually had the opportunity to do that, period. Yeah. Right? So that's kind of nice. So you can get to go wherever the heck he wants, and wherever he goes, I'm sure you'll be happy.
True. Okay, buddy. Thanks so much for your time on Family Day. Enjoy your afternoon off. Enjoy your evening off. And I hope the week goes by really, really quick for you. Look forward to doing this again on Monday. And I'm sure we'll keep in touch through the week.
You betcha, man. You enjoy the rest of your week as well.
And thanks again for the invite on Saturday. I had a blast. It was very gracious of you to host. And I had such a fun night. I can't wait to do it again.
Yeah, me too. I can't wait to do it again in a couple weekends.
Okay, buddy. Okay. All the best. Cheers.
Cheers.
Okay. Bye for now.
All right.
Okay, that was great. Yeah, man, I was really looking forward to this today, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Really fun to watch the UFC with Jason. He's such a great mind when it comes to fighting in the UFC. He knows so much about it, and it's good to debate things with him. It's good to, break things down, have a couple of beers with him, have a couple of, have some food and, watch it. We don't get to do that as much anymore. You know, I try to get together with friends and it's fun, but with COVID times, it's become harder and harder. But thanks for tuning in as always. Appreciate your support. Hope you enjoyed our UFC and NBA talk. And we will see you again very soon. Hope you enjoyed our Valentines podcast with Vesa Rantanen yesterday. I was very happy that he joined me, and we had a really fun conversation. And he said, let's do it again sometime soon. So you'll be entertained very soon. I'm going to try to get him again. And we have such a fun time talking about sports and life and all the goings on that we have in our lives. So take care of yourself. As I said, thanks again for your support. Go to the website, go to YouTube, like us, give us some feedback, and take care of yourself. Have a really great week ahead. Take care. Love you. Bye for now.